Very good morning, everyone. Okay. I think you recently attended topper session, right? Most of you. So I'm going to promise you that this session is going to be even more wonderful than that, right? So the reason I tell you is that so we have in front of you ASAD ZUBERI. What is his rank? Yeah. So interestingly, he opted for Indian Foreign Service as his first preference. Some of you might ask him why he opted for it. And it was his dream to be in foreign service, and he's going to get IFS. And he has scored 130 plus in essay and 290 in anthropology. And ethics, how much? 119. Yeah, 119 in ethics, right? So these are really very good scores. And I'm sure all of you are very much interested to know how to score, 130 or 130 above in essay, and good marks in ethics paper, and as well as in anthropology, those who are having anthropology as your optional, right? And we had felicitation program. Two of his friends also got into services. So these three prepared together. One is Dvij and Shubhratosh and Asad. They three prepared together, past 3 years, I think, right? And all of them, are getting into services. So I keep seeing, small groups here also, right? You might want to know how did that group, help them together, what kind of peer review they were doing, how they were preparing together. And I formally welcome Asad. Welcome to the Topper's Talk. And the floor is yours. Whatever you want to share, you can share. And I hope you will enjoy. Not I hope. I certainly say you are going to enjoy this talk. Okay? Thank you so much.
I can use the boards, right? Yes, thank you. Hello, am I audible? Good morning, everyone. As sir has been very kind to introduce me here. My name is ASAD ZUBERI. It's loud enough, right? Yes. Not too loud and not too low. So my name is ASAD ZUBERI, and as sir told you that I got a rank of 86. Extremely grateful and lucky to get this rank, because with hard work and all the grit and consistency that this exam needs, you also need some amount of luck for everything to work out. So I've been telling everyone that I've been extremely lucky and grateful to everything to get this rank, and also my desired service, which is going to be Indian Foreign Service. So a lot of you, maybe some of you may have it in your mind that you want to be a diplomat and you want to join the Indian Foreign Services. So I would love to interact with you too in the same session of why did I choose to get it in all my 3 attempts. This was actually the reason to go for UPSC, that I may not be able to work as a diplomat if I had taken any other profession. So what made me do that and everything, I'm not going to tell you the entire movie right now. I'm just trying to give you trailers to get you guys interested and up from your sleep. So I would like to make it a little interactive. It should not be the one-way traffic. I would like you to interact with me, because I am actually among you only. I was right there a month ago. I was listening to people talking about Topper's Talk. So there's nothing different about me. I've not done anything different from you all. It's just that I got into a list and my words have more legitimacy than it had when I was speaking from there. So a lot of things will be common that you all are doing, I am doing. A lot of strategies are common that you are following and I am following. It's just that I have some legitimacy, so I'm standing here and speaking in front of you. So, where is that, Silas? There. Where? Okay. I'm very new to this. I'll just take a 2 minutes tutorial to how to handle this. Where's this? I can rub it like this, right? No? Yeah. Okay. And if I want to change the page or something? Add the page. Okay. Thanks. So I'll start with my marks. Okay. So I'll start with my journey. Okay. So my journey has been like a board of snakes and ladders. I think this is true about almost all the UPSC journeys, right? That you put in the dice and then you start playing the game. Okay, so there are a lot of snakes here and there. Okay, ready to bite you. There are a lot of ladders, of course. Okay, small ladders and large ladders. This is the final selection. This is where you start. Okay, so I started here. This is back in 2020. Okay, I started preparing 2019. What did I do before this? So I am 25 years old right now, and I'm a mechanical engineer from this college called NIT Allahabad. I completed in 2019. I joined this company called Hero Motocorp in Chittoor, Andhra Pradesh, which is not so far from here. It's a little far actually. And then I was actually started reading back in 2019 itself, and I attempted my first prelims in 2020. Scored around 60 marks there back then. Okay, that was way below the cutoff, and I did not prepare well for that attempt. And I'm lucky, and I would say it again that I did not clear this prelims, because this is again and again I'm telling people that you have to have some level of mains preparation, your optional preparation, before you actually get through this stage. Otherwise you'll be stuck in the loop. Okay, you'll keep on just going to the board, coming back with the snake, keep on going again. So I was lucky to not clear this prelims back in 2020. Now if you remember, then pandemic came, and UPSC postponed the exam for some time. What happened is that I got some time to prepare, and I resigned from my job. So that is when I started actually. This attempt was a wasted attempt. Then 2021 attempt, I was going very well throughout the board. Okay, I was not climbing any ladders because I did not have any experience or mentorship back then. So this is also very important. You have someone who has cleared the exam, or like Vinay sir is there, you are a part of an institute. I could not come anywhere to study because firstly it was COVID, and my financial condition did not allow me to go for a coaching institute, so I could not take classes back then. So I was going like this. Okay, mains qualified here. Somehow I qualified mains. So I struggled a lot with prelims. Okay, in 2020 I was not expecting that I'll clear. So I was just going on a trip. I was having fun for 2 weeks, and then suddenly the list of prelims came, and my name was there, and I did not know what to do. My optional was more or less prepared, I would say. I prepared my optional to myself, but my mains was not so prepared. So what happened is I reached the interview, that is 99, and this snake bit me, and I came back to somewhere like 5 or something. Somewhere like I had 5 days to go for next prelims. So I would say I came back to 5. So this was the toughest day of my preparation, right? This was the lowest point. Please come. This was the lowest point when you reach this stage and you are like, you're not the top of the world, that I'm going to qualify, I'm going to get this service, I'm going to do this and that. And we all feel that we have written the best answers, you know. Nothing is better than our copy. We are the best. That kind of feeling you get after clearing mains. But again, as UPSC is infamous for keeping you grounded, stroking you with the bat of reality, it did for me too, and I came back to 5 again. Now there was only 4 days left for prelims. So as I told you, I've been fortunate to have 2 friends called Dwij and Subhatosh. So I don't want to give another attempt. That I would go back to working, and I don't want to give another attempt and all of that. But my mom said it back on 2nd June 2021 that probably this didn't work out this year, so that you get a 2-digit rank next year and you can get IFS. And I was like, moms are always so toxically positive. You know, this is not going to work out. You think it's that easy to get a 2-digit rank. I did not even get into the list. I missed it by actually, I'll tell you the marks. So this is first prelims, around 60. I don't even remember it. Okay, my marks were lower than my rank. Second attempt, 2021. My prelim score was around 96 point something in GS1. CSAT was 108. I did not have a problem till 2021. I am going to come to what happened in 2022. So this was my score. Then for my mains, my score was 941, I think. So I came pretty close to the list. I just touched the list and went out because the cutoff was 950 and reserve list was around 948. So Dwij got into Pondix last year because he was in the reserve list. And you know, these 7 marks out of 2025, they look so insignificant. And that's when you realize that each mark that you gain in the GS paper, each half a mark that you're gaining in essay, in interview, it's going to count when you miss the list by this much amount. So that is when I got eliminated. Okay, the snake bit me at 99. Came back this much. Now next prelim was coming. 4 days, what I did, only PYQ analysis. We came on a Google Meet, me, Dvij and Subratosh. We were just solving previous year questions and trying to figure out why did UPSC make this option, why is this wrong, why is this right, you know, that kind of analysis. So that actually become very important. I'll take questions on prelims more, but my preparation was not only based on studying the basic amount of material, but also on how we analyzed PYQ. In 4 days, I attempted prelims. So this is the prelims of 2022. Okay, I attempted prelims and I scored this year 108 in prelims. Okay, GS1. Now look at the unpredictable nature of this exam. When I was so prepared, I could score 96. When I was not prepared at all, and I went with a lose all attitude that I've already been out of the list. What worse can happen now? You know, like like everything is already over. What else can happen? I went with that attitude and I just kept on marking. Okay, B, I'll just mark and go. In D, I'll just mark and go. So prelims had become more sort of a mindset game more than the study game now. That you are in that mindset that you know, if I think it's B, I'll mark it and leave. Because I think if you're managing your time well and you've studied the sufficient amount of material, if you're not panicking there, don't expect anything from UPSC. Don't expect easy questions. Don't expect elimination techniques will work. Don't expect anything. Just go with a blank mind, look at the paper, you have to solve 100 questions. Okay. So I went with that attitude. I don't care if I get eliminated, I'm already out of the list. And I had no strength to do it all over again. Prelims, mains, you know, interview. Mains is so tiring, 9 papers. So I was more or less out, okay, in my head. This much in GS1. Now CSAT was the sticking point for me. Now this year I knew that GS1 I am qualifying, but CSAT was very tough. And I ended up scoring something like 78 in CSAT. So I also am very lucky. If 3-4 questions here and there, I would have been working again in Chittoor this year, not standing here. So this happened with me. So this is again one of the points I would like to make. It's becoming increasingly tough. A lot of you might have attempted it this year. Anyone who has attempted it this year or writing mains this year? No. So what is the state of preparation right now that we are in? Can you just tell me so that I can talk more about the first attempt and more about the new things? Can anyone tell me what is the state of preparation of a lot of people sitting here? Foundation course. So you are going to attempt in 2025 or 24. So we have a lot of time. Okay, so this happened in my prelims. Then mains. Now the real game come. Anyway, I'll just eliminate this. In 2022, I finally finished the snake and ladders for myself and I qualified. So and also I would say that in this attempt when I was moving here, so in mains I could get through a lot of ladders too, because I had an experience on what I did wrong last year. So even if you're failing in your progressive attempt, just know that in the next attempt you'll have some ladders to climb until you reach the final attempt. But I really hope you're all going to clear in 2024. We'll keep our head high. So this year what happened is I've gained last year my 941, right? I think I've gained around 55 marks in mains this year. Okay, in interview I gained only 8 marks. Now this is my attempts of 2021 versus 2022. Okay, so now you can see the real difference. So what is making the real difference? This is not. This is somewhere. This is the personality test mark. Try not to fall below the average, because you don't know what questions they are going to put, what kind of mindset you are in. Is it a good day or bad day? What did they eat in lunch? What did you eat in lunch? Or if they had a breakfast or not, if you had your morning coffee or not. So marks can vary, and imagine like even 1 mark can take you 5 ranks above or 5 ranks below. So we are not going to depend on this. We are going to cash out as much as we can do here. That is mains. Okay, it's extremely important to cash out on mains. Extremely important to maximize your score on mains. So anyone who's preparing, never depend on personality test. Gain as much as you can in mains. No one can push you out of the list. Okay, So mains I've gained 55 marks. Now I'll highlight of what I gained in mains. The very first thing is optional. My optional is anthropology. Okay. Anthropology, last year my score was 276. This year my score is 290. Essay, last year my score was 115, which was below average score last year. It was not a very good score. Okay, this year I have, I think I've scored 131. So this is a good score this year because average is around 105 this year. So essay is going to make a difference, optional is going to make a difference, and ethics. Now here comes the real gangster of my story. I have gained 26 marks in ethics from 93 to 119. So they say, right, all gangsters small but the real gangster arrives. So in my case the real gangster was ethics. So and also for this and this I would like to really thank Insights IAS because I've been looking at those sessions by DK Balaji sir, the Insights perceptions of something on essay, right, something like that on YouTube. And also I've been reading a lot about Viness's blogs and taking all his guidance for these two subjects. But I've changed my strategy completely for this subject from last year, and I think I would like to talk more about that so that you will be able to, because now that you have a lot of time to prepare, this is going to be the game changer for a lot of people. Because it's easy to gain marks here. GS 1, 2, 3, it's not so easy to gain marks. Everyone is just filling copies there, you know. But whenever whatever you get in your mind, you keep on writing. Not so much random things, but believe me, like a lot of people are just writing almost the similar content in GS 1, 2, 3. This is where you make the difference. So this was my story in short of what happened. I'm so glad all the snakes are out of my story and I'm out of the process now with a good rank. So I would like you to tell me what should I discuss here, because if I start writing down the resources and if I start just with the boring stuff, I don't want it to happen. Anything that you want me to discuss about any three stages, prelims, mains and interview, ethics, essay, I will discuss, okay? Because in that way I will be delivering what you guys need from me. So what should I discuss? Of PYQs, okay. Okay. How to analyze the questions for mains or prelims? For both mains and prelims. Okay, I'll cover that. Anything else that you think I should discuss today? How to manage with current affairs. Ethics. Okay, can you give me a pen? I don't have a pen. I'll just write it down in my diary. Ethics and essay I'm going to start with anyway because sir has also told me to discuss that. I'll discuss essay, ethics. She told me about PYQ analysis. Someone asked about current affairs. What else? Optional time management. I have also a very nice insight on completing the UPSC paper. So I was someone who had not written a single test in my 2021 attempt, and I was completing one test in 4.5 hours, the very first test I wrote. So I have devised a very nice strategy which I can give you with a guarantee that you will complete the paper of mains. Okay, so I am going to talk about that also, how to complete a mains paper. What else? I'll just take one more thing because we don't have the entire day. Optional I'll cover, yeah. CSAT? CSAT, yeah. Answer writing practice, how to develop answer writing practice, right? Answer writing, I'll tell you some insights on what I did for both GS and this. Anything else? Note making, both for GS and optional, right? Note making. Current affairs I've written. Anything else? For GS, I'm going to cover that in answer writing. It's very important. Okay, I'll start. So when we ethics, okay, I'll start with ethics, what I did. The real gangster of my mains. Ethics. So there are two parts of ethics, as we all know. We have theory part and we have case studies part, okay. In all my mock test, I was acing this part, okay, completely, and I was struggling with this a lot. So what happens is, in theory, I refer to this book called Lexicon. If you have any material from given by the institute, please stick to that. I was not enrolled there, so in theory what you did do is make very short note of ethics. My ethics note are also given on my Telegram channel. I'll write that if you want to download it. On Telegram it's ASAD_ZUBERI, ASAD_ZUBERI. Okay. Is this visible? It was getting too thick. Okay, so this is my Telegram on which you will get some of my notes. Is it visible? ASAD_ZUBERI. I scanned all my ethics notes, it's available. So what I did in theory, first thing is you need to cover the definitions well. Okay, definitions of all the basic terms that we are talking about, or like attitude, integrity, qualities, all the qualities. You cover the basic terms, put it in your notes. Won't be more than 30 pages, 30-40 pages, hardly. Just cover the basic definitions for all the qualities listed in the syllabus. Okay, this is the first point in ethics. Now this doesn't make you different, because everyone is people like in UPSC, they are very much like they have a lot of terabytes of memory in their head. If they don't, they develop it anyway. So everyone is going to copy paste the similar definitions. So this is just going to give you average or below average marks. Alright. So what else we can do in this? So what happened is so about the group that Vanessa was talking about, what we did is me, Dwej and Subratosh in this attempt, we sat on Google Call, Google Meets, because we were preparing from 3 different cities. I was in Aligarh in Uttar Pradesh, Dwej was in Meerut, Subratosh was in Gwalior. So what we did is we sat on Google Meet and we solved all the previous year questions from 2013 to 2022. So my preparation was largely based on solving the PYQs in ethics after doing this basic part. Okay. So what I did in solving PYQs, I did not write the complete answer. So we were using Microsoft OneNote to make our online notes. We were just listing down the definitions, all of us, but it was more or less similar. Then we were opening there are two different things in this. Firstly, the dimensions. Secondly, example. Thirdly, best practices. Or we can call it case studies. Okay. Also, one thing, innovative diagrams. This is something I have done myself. So this is these are the ingredients: PYQ, dimensions, example, best practices, case studies, and some diagrams. So this is what will make your answer different rather than just writing the basic definitions. I'm going to cover this very soon. I'll just rub it off. So I'll open these one by one. Definitions, we know that we are going to take it from our notes, etc. PYQ. So what we did is we were solving the PYQs, because if you see on the previous year question, if you're covering from 2013 to 2022, you are literally covering all the qualities, everything, because the syllabus is so short and defined that you're not going to leave anything behind. Okay, so this can be a good part of revision too, and this can be a good way to cover your syllabus, that you are sticking to the PYQs. Okay, so what are the dimensions that we opened? So what we did is all 3 of us sat. Now why did all 3 of us were sitting for it? Because when you have 3 different people or 4 different people, you have 3 to 4 different brains coming from 3-4 different parts of their lives with 3-4 different experiences. Okay, 3 or 4 different connections that they make or interlinks that they make. So if you see all these other people, every other person as a competitor in UPSC, this is not going to help you, because outside this classroom there are thousands of other classrooms where thousands of other people are sitting. That makes it some lakhs people are writing the exam. So what we did is we saw our group as a unit which is preparing for UPSC, and we all wanted to get through. So when you work like this, when you don't see your friend, your small group that sir was talking about as your competitors, you will realize that you are getting ahead of a lot of people, others who are preparing alone, or who are not seeing others as competitors. They are seeing each other as friends. So for our case, we sat together, and Dwej was very nice in opening the dimensions. Okay, He'll always find political dimension, environmental dimension, this and that. So we were like, you were the dimension guy. I was good at quoting the examples because I have been reading a lot of books, so I was the example guy. Subrato's was very nice because his optional is political science, international relation. So he was very nice in quoting people, this scholar, that scholar, quoting definitions, quoting, having quotes, Viktor Frankl, etc. His favorite quote is, hope is a good thing but not the best of the things. You know that from which movie was this? Some movie, right? Shawshank, yeah. So life's a box of chocolates and all of this, he keeps on quoting that. So he's a very dreamy guy. So he was the quote guy for us. So now we are analyzing one question with the example guy, with the dimension guy, with the code guy. So we are going to have a very nice answer when it comes out because 3 of us are writing that answer now. So what dimensions I'm talking about? Like UPSC is asking, for example, UPSC is asking a question about compassion. Now he is not going to ask what is compassion. Now he or she, whoever framing the paper, they're going to ask you about something related to compassion, some value, some aspect of compassion. So what we did is, in the same answer of previous year question, we were opening the dimension so that some dimension is going to hit in the exam. So what we were doing, we would say, okay, environmentally, if we see from the ecological perspective, then we have climate change. So climate change efforts like showing compassion to the planet. When we consider the international relation, we have refugee resettlement. Okay, what was happening in Ukraine, all of that, we can show compassion to the refugees, accept them, or etc. From the governance perspective, we have different schemes like Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, we have National Food Security Act, etc. From the governance dimension. From the historical dimension, okay, we can have some idea of probably a king like Akbar or anyone else, someone from any example that you can get from ancient to medieval India, from the Vijayanagara Empire, wherever you can get, you can just put it in historical perspective. Now you can go to some other economic perspective. So equality or distribution of resources can be a form of compassion there. And so what we are doing is, actually we are analyzing the same values from different perspectives. Now UPSC is not going to ask you, and you are not supposed to write all of this, but anyone can actually get asked in the exam. So you can make the connection and you can straight away start giving the examples for that. This was our strategy. And if he is asking just for the compassion, then you are sitting on a gold mine, because now you are going to be a person who is going to write the answer from all these perspectives. Okay, so the examiner will see that you have wide range of idea of what is going around you. You know the value because you know the definition. You solve the PYQs, he'll not know that. But the dimensions, you have listing it out, and a lot of people will miss on some dimensions. So what we did is, we made some kind of a mnemonic for dimensions. For example, I think it was called as HIPSEEP, something like this for us, like historical, IR, political, social, economic, environmental, something like this. You can develop your own thing so that you have a map of how to open the dimension of every value that you are coming across in UPSC. And this exercise is going to really help you. So that I am done with the part of dimensions. Any questions? You can keep asking me questions when I am explaining anything, so that I can address all of these. This is going to help you to make very descriptive notes, and it helped me to increase my scores by 26 marks in ethics. So this we did for dimensions. Now what about examples? What we did is, now there are some practical examples, there are some common examples. So I used to list for all these values that I am talking about. For example, I was giving it continuously. Governance, I gave an example of the scheme. Climate change, I gave an example. You can write mission life or anything that is going around you, so that the examiner can connect with you. Now don't write, I did not write myself very abstract example, like, because there is no time to write about I was going on a road and I saw this person and this happened. That can be compassion, but the examiner was not there to see with you, and it will take a lot of time to write. In ethics paper, the biggest challenge was to write well. And by the way, just wanted to figure this out. I have attempted only 230 marks this year in ethics. I missed 20 marks paper. So I was literally crying that ethics will push me out of the list. But out of these 230 that I attempted, I got 119. So I'm not telling you that this is a good approach. This happened by accident, because I was also someone who's not so fast at writing. but it just happened. So for me, I'm just telling you that try to quote very crisp examples. That I'll just write mission life, the examiner will know you are knowing it, it will hit the right spot. So keep those examples crisp and quote examples which are more common, like PMGK, everyone would know, National Food Security Act, everyone would know. So I was always quoting these examples for each of the dimensions for the same values that I was talking about. Alright, this is an easy part, you can quote an example, and when you're writing it in your copy, for example, this is your answer sheet. Okay, you're writing it. So, for example, there's some question came. You've written a definition. Now, the next thing I used to do is I've uploaded my copies on my Telegram. You can see that I used to make some descriptive diagram or a flowchart here, like this. I'll write compassion, and I'll open the dimensions like this. Okay, this makes your copy prettier, and also this covers some space and gives you some kind of a breadth to complete the paper. Also, you can write the dimensions here. Okay, probably you can list the example here if you can. So don't make it monotonous. So I had some diagrams prepared for introduction itself, that I'll make this diagram, I'll sometime make flowchart, sometime I'll just invert it like this. Okay, I'll open it like this, sometimes I'll open it like this, anything I will do. I had some diagrams prepared for introduction, so you can take this strategy from me. Sometimes in a question, one part is just written dormantly. He'll just write a statement. For example, ethics, compassion is a good value for civil servants in the changing scenario of, in the changing world of social media. He'll put a full, then they will ask you the main question. So what happens is a lot of people ignore the very first part, that he has actually written something. So you don't have to answer that. Just to address it, you can add it in this, changing social media, compassion, you can write something about it. So the examiners knows that you have the question well and you are addressing the demand of question. So something that he has not asked directly, you can make it in a form of diagram. That I used to follow this. Anyway, I'll talk more about this in answer writing. So examples, you put example. If you're quoting an example for value, you can. I used to do this, and I used to quote it like this, something like this. So this was my example flag. I used to quote it and write. For example, if you're writing a value like this, quote example here, value example here, value example here. This makes it easier for the examiner to check the copy. His eye will know where to look for. And if you're making it easier for the examiner to check, you're going to get some marks. Okay. For example, I'm listing like this. Now this will look like a set pattern of answer. You're writing the value, writing a dimension, quoting the example, value, dimension, example, value, dimension. So I used to quote it like this. So this was the example part. The last part that I was coming was case studies or the best practices. So this will come from your newspapers. So the source for me, for my examples and this thing was, firstly I've already told you the basic definitions from any book, material, etc. Secondly, the examples from newspapers. A lot of examples you'll find in newspapers that are very common. For, mainly the case studies will include the stories by several IAS officers, by someone. For example, this is also a good source for getting example. The Prime Minister gives this talk regularly, months. I think it comes out monthly. You don't have to listen to the entire talk. Go to the website. There you can find it written in text form. Okay, go through it quickly. You'll find a lot of case studies here. Somewhere in the north, or some women FHG is making, for example, is using the grass to make a good broomstick or something, and they're recycling some material to. So this can be example to waste to wealth, and you can quote it directly in compassion towards environment. So I used to go through this quickly, not too descriptively, and extract only examples from this. Okay, this was my one of the sources. Another source for me was, of course, I've already told, newspapers. And since I'm someone who doesn't like studying a lot, I did not want to search a lot, so I used to go for Topper's copy sometimes. Topper's copy. I used to just look at them so that I can find some good examples from there. This is like a good source where you can just steal from people who are doing it, so that your work is. Also, just to note the point, I am someone who doesn't like studying a lot. I was forcing myself to study for 8 hours every day for last 3 years or something. So even if you are someone who doesn't like studying a lot, I love playing music, I love singing, I love playing guitar, I love going out, I love partying, and this was one of the major challenges that I saw in my preparation, that I had the fear of missing out. That others are partying, I am not partying, others are putting videos on Instagram. My Instagram was deactivated for 3 years. So I had a very tough time dealing with it, but believe me, if you do it now for the next 2-3 years, it's going to be all worth it. Now I can go back and pursue all my hobbies again. Anyway, I just digressed from the topic, but I used to steal a lot of content from other toppers' copies because they are available for free and it's ethical too, because they already cleared the exam. And go ahead and clear the exam yourself too. So you can get it from here. Now case studies, quote it by writing case study. You can write case study and quote it, because sometimes it happens that when everyone is quoting an example, someone who is quoting an entire different story. For example, this IAS in Rajasthan has installed a wall on which hooks are there and desk is there, so that anyone who in the city who wants to donate anything, he or she will come to that wall, hang a shirt and go back. Anyone who needs it, take it from there. So this is an actual practice I found in some toppers copy only, which I wrote in the paper. So with the name of that IAS officer who has implemented it, so that you have more credibility. Even examiner can cross check it from internet or anywhere, this story will be there. This is also a very nice source. Indian Express organizes administrators awards every year. I think it was coming continuously in Indian Express right after, I think 3-4 months ago, in which they award several administrators who have done amazing stuff here and there. So you can steal directly from their story, you can quote it in their paper. Alright, you can find the thread on internet, just search for Indian Express Excellence Awards or something like this, I don't remember the name. You'll find the whole thread of it and you can steal it from there. I'll not say steal it, you can take it up from there. So case study part is done. Now your ethics copy will have dimensions, examples, case studies, diagrams. Okay. Now look at some diagrams. For example, I used to make diagrams like this. Ethics. No, not like this. I used to like integrity. Okay. For example, he is asking something called. If he is asking something on integrity, I'll make it like this. Okay. Now I'll make some values of integrity. Anything that comes to my mind. This is relative to question. I'm not saying that you develop everything here itself, but he or she can ask something in the paper. You can form this diagram instantly. Integrity, I'll write something related to question here. Okay. That, for example, if he's asking question about some code of conduct or rules or something, I'll write easier to follow the rules, sticking to the whatever. I'll just write something here, and then I'll again converge it to the last part of the question, that ethics in public administration, something like this. I'm just giving you an example, but I used to develop these diagrams. I used to use these diagrams a lot in my copies, so that it is a good way to woo the examiner that I have done something great. See, look at my copy. This looks nice. So I used to do this. Okay. Another example of diagram that I used to use is, there's some question about healthy mind. Healthy practices. Okay. Leads to healthy attitude, maybe something like this. I developed. I'm just giving an example. Now it will increase in and lead to a healthy mind. Now this will lead to something, practices, attitude, healthy mind, a better society, whatever according to the question, and these will lead to further better practices. Now this is such a pretty diagram, right? You can see that things are happening and they are increasing in intensity. This will show a what do we call it is the chain reaction or effect, that if you are having good practices, a good attitude, further it will increase in effect on a healthy mind, further increase on a healthy society. All of this will actually lead to further best practices. So examiner will like something like this. Maybe in my case they did, because I used to make these example. Another example for what I did in Ethe. A newborn baby. Okay. To a responsible citizen. Okay, this. Now I used to make like this: family, school, role models, teachers, religion, books, etc., etc. Now this is what attitude formation, and you can write components or maybe something that is helping to build attitude. So now a newborn baby, he or she will learn a lot of things. This is the formation of attitude, will become a responsible citizen. These are the agents of change: agent 1, agent 2, agent 3. Role of family, role of school, role of teachers, role of role models, role of books, role of religion, role of spirituality, etc., etc. So this is also an example of diagram that I used. So you can find these diagrams in my notes also. I've developed all these diagrams on Telegram group. I've uploaded it. So this will make your paper a little interesting. And if you see, I'm not drawing any irrelevant diagram. These diagrams have a meaning. These diagrams can be understood in a way. This examiner will actually put in some thought. And I have this for same approach for maps also. Please do not draw random maps. Draw maps which are relevant, because the people sitting there will exactly know that you have drawn the map just to cover the some part of a copy, or you are drawing it to actually give it some information. So this was my ethics theory part that I followed. Anything that you would like to ask in this part?
So you told me it's the common example which is known to the examiner. So how that makes difference from others? Because everyone believes in the
Yeah, exactly. The difference would be when you're coming. See, example everyone has to use. You don't have to be different in a lot of things. Example, at least the small examples, quote common examples, so that you don't have to write a lot. I'm saying what different you're going to do is diagrams, dimensions, because a lot of people are not going to open it, and the case study part. Just write one nice case study if you're getting any example. Okay, not example, case study. Just write one, not more than one in one answer, because it's going to take 2-3 lines to write that, and write it with the name of administrator who has done it. It will have more credibility, and that will make your answer different. Anything else in the theory part you would like to ask? I don't want to take much of your time. I have a lot to tell, but not so much time. I'll come to case studies. So what I did in case studies is, firstly, I did not follow the very common idea of writing stakeholders, interest, facts of the case, because I did not have time for that. So I used to hit directly on the demand of the question. Sometimes I used to list stakeholders, sometimes I would list it. I'm not saying it's a bad practice, but the case study itself is becoming 1 or 2 page long. So it's getting increasingly tough to read the case study and then attempt to it. So what I did in case studies is, I should directly hit on the demand of the question, part A, part B, etc., whatever it is. And what I would like to tell you in this is, please first solve the problem, first identify the problem, because what is happening is the paper is given, they are given 2-page case study, and it has all the problem. The same person has some sand mafia behind his life. His or her mother is suffering from a disease. Children are not getting into school. Some other interview he took. The media person is bothering him. This and that. You'll realize that what kind of person is this, having all the problems of the world in one guy or something. But some problems are actually peripheral problem. UPSC does not want you to solve everything given in the case studies, because they want you to understand what is the core issue here. That is why they are not giving you a lot of time, so that you actually hit on the core issue and solve that problem. Try to take as many stakeholders, as many problems that you can take, but I am very certain you cannot deal with anything. You will have to, that is what ethics is, right? You have to make choices between 2 right things, and nothing is wrong in there. So even the case studies, if you see, you need to identify the main issues and give them the priority accordingly. For example, sand mafia issue is given, it's a very big issue, you give it a priority. Children are not going to school, I am not saying it's a very small issue, but when you are stepping in the shoes of administrator, taking care of a family will be taken care on a personal basis. But in the paper, solve the professional problem first and then maybe address the personal problem. So first of all, identification of the core issue is very important, because it's often seen that you read the entire case study, but you are not solving the core issue. So please identify the core issue. Write only as per demand. write only a demand of what they are asking. Okay. Now what do I mean with this is the same thing, that I could not write the facts of the case, stakeholders involved, interest, this and that. In every question I was just hitting directly on a demand. Lastly, once you have solved the main issues, give practical solutions, step into the shoes of an administrator. So for me it was a little tough because I did not want it to be an IAS officer, I wanted to be a diplomat, but I had to step in the shoes of, for example, the district magistrate or someone, and solve the problem from his or her perspective. For example, if the examiner is talking about some climate change issue, just don't write I'll contact NGO straight away, because NGOs are going to be the helping hand. You are someone who's a part of government. He or she expects you to first take initiative from the government point of view. It's very easy to put it on the NGOs or some support groups. First you take the initiative from the government point of view. That is practically what you're going to do once you get into the shoes of an administrator. You cannot just call an NGO and do this. You're going to take an initiative first on the basis of the schemes that the government has already devised. So think like an administrator there. Write, even if you're writing NGO, I would like to, for example, do an advertising campaign with an NGO in which I will hold a competition on maybe an essay writing competition for in all the schools of the district. Now this will look at something, you are not someone who's just speaking in mid-air, you have a plan. You can actually implement it in a district. How many of us have actually written those essays and drawn those, we used to draw these sketches for Independence Day, etc. on several issues. This is what actually happens to increase the awareness. So if you're writing increasing awareness, just don't write increasing awareness, write increasing awareness by this method. So this is what is going to change your case study approach, that you are someone who is writing practical solutions to problems. Okay. Lastly, I will write this practical solutions. This really helped me because, for example, in one of the case studies, I was writing on some mock tests. It was related to cyber security issues, and I wrote that I will be contacting some ICCC center or something. I'm actually forgetting a lot of things now. Some e-governance term I put, and I will be taking the help of the agency. I put the name of the agency also there. So this will help making your answer more practical, more implementable. Last, have a very brief section in which you write the long-term solution. Now they want to see someone who is working as an administrator on a district level, but tomorrow he or she is going to go to the ministry, maybe devise a scheme, okay, maybe make a policy, maybe give inputs on a policy to change it. So they want to see someone who has a long-term perspective as well to a solution. Someone who is not just looking at a district. He or she is solving the initial problem, but also somewhere, for example, if the problem is related to migrants not getting food. So your actually first priority should be that migrants should get food on your district level. After you have solved that, maybe you can write something related to food security in this section. That having these canteens, having these Indira canteens, having these kitchens around, community kitchens in which you can get women from SHG to cook. Something very interesting, taking a lot of solving multiple issues through one. I'm not saying it will come in one day. It will come over that period of time of solving case studies. So this will make your answer a little better. Also in this, have some code study. My code guy was Subratosh. You can actually identify the code guy amongst you. There are people who read a lot, who keeps quoting a lot, dreamy people. So have some codes, for example, to finish the case study or something. This will give the examiner an idea that you have not written it in haste. You had a plan when you started the case study. So I think this is enough. I can keep on speaking about ethics all day, but this is what helped me gain 26 marks in ethics. I'll just very quickly move to essay now. Okay, essay. I always everyone say that you need to understand the demand of essay by understanding what UPSC needs. So if you read the UPSC syllabus, I'm so sorry, I took your pen and then never gave it back. I'm infamous for doing that for a very long time. So what UPSC is saying in its syllabus is that you have to keep closely to the demand of, keep closely to subject of essay. This is the first thing written in the syllabus. Second thing, arrange ideas orderly. orderly arranged ideas. Thirdly, write concisely. Then they are saying some credit will be given for effective and exact expression. Effective, exact. Okay. So this is what UPSC syllabus says, that you have to keep closely to a subject, orderly arrange ideas, write concisely, credit will be given to effective and exact expression. Now these are not the words that he is throwing around. It's a very big body in which the syllabus must have been defined by some learned people. You need to understand what are the demands of all these things. So is there written that you have to use very flowery language, a lot of scholars, a lot of books, a lot of stories? No. Does he or she say that something, something very big, something, some essay of which has a credibility of a research paper or something? No. They're simply saying keep closely to a subject. So please attempt the essay that you completely understand. Don't run behind essays that a lot of people will not write, because this is the usual approach that people take, that okay, this is a topic which people will not write, so I will attempt this to make my essay different. That is not going to help you, because maybe if you not understood, for example, there was this topic, if you have seen the paper, your perception of me is a perception of you, my perception of you is a perception of something, I don't remember, but then I got so scared by that topic, a lot of people took it up just to become different. Maybe they could not understand a demand and the entire essay was not scored well. So go for simple, I'm not saying just don't go for tough topics, go for topics that you completely and 100% you understand. You can trust yourself that I completely understand this topic. So that you can keep closely to a subject of essay. Okay, second thing, orderly arrange ideas. This will come with the planning that you do before the essay. I'll also tell you about how I did. Write concisely. Don't keep on rambling about the same thing, that food is something that comes from this source, but also food is come from this source, but then food is this and food is that, just to fill up the pages. That don't keep rambling out the same stuff. Keep it different, keep the flow going, but don't talk only about one thing. Just talk about everything in essay, but in a concise manner. Every word that you're going to write there, it's going to cost you some marks, either in positive or in negative. So let's be sure that either we are getting 0 for each word or we are getting any positive. We don't want any bad impression on the examiner that you are just rambling on some topic because you don't know it. So you have to be very concise. Effective and exact impression, this will come from writing great examples in essay. Okay, this will come from all the things that you have already been doing, writing concisely, etc. So this is the demand that UPSC wants. So what I did is, I changed my approach from last year again. Okay, so a lot of people when they talk about essay, they talk about, they see essay, they turn the pages, they're like political example, governance example, historical example, ancient, medieval, art and culture, economy, ethics, blah blah blah, and then we have this list of examples. We just take those examples, we copy paste in the essay, connect it with some connecting lines, complete the essay, clap for ourselves that we have done such an amazing job, and then go back home. And the examiner, I'm not saying that's a very bad essay, that's a good essay. It's not easy to write 2 essays in 3 hours, but everyone is doing that now. So you have to be a little someone who has understood the essay. As you can see, he said arrange ideas in already fashion. So where the ideas, when you're just writing examples, where did the ideas go? That means UPSC wants you to write an original thought also. What do you think about certain topic? Write that original thought and then support that original thought with example or something. Just don't write examples and connect them with some connectives to write an essay. Write the original thought, what do you think about it? Then you support it with the example. So this is something that I completely say. A lot of people don't write their original thought at all. They like something and then they'll quote, for example, in Mauryas, for example, in the reign of this king it happened. It's good to do that, but at least write the original thought. What are you trying to tell you with that? What are you trying to tell with that example that you are quoting? Okay. So where will it come from? I used to use this technique called decoding an essay. Okay. Okay, so this topic came last year. The best time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining, right? And this is a philosophical essay. So anyone who is very worried about how to approach a philosophical essay, this approach is going to help you. The best time to repair roof. Are you guys getting bored? You can say yes. I used to be very bored in topper talk. Okay, so for example, this is, you can also ask some questions. No one is asking questions, no one is talking to me. I am making a joke myself, laughing on it. Again going back, making a joke myself, laughing on it. So anyway, so this is visible, right? So best time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. How? Okay, so first of all, about decoding part. This is me going back in my copy, previous me listing down the example and the real now from real life, or me from in 2022 trying to decode the essay. So what I did is I used to identify some terms on which I can write something. So what can be the terms to identify in this? The best time. Okay. Repair the roof. Repair roof is when the sun is shining. Okay, now these are my cue points. Rest of the things is just connecting the dots. So for all these three things, I can now start thinking, start doing brainstorming. What are these things? What do these terms mean to you? Okay, the best time. It can mean the correct time. It can mean the time when your capabilities are at the highest point. It can mean the most appropriate moment of your life. Maybe it can mean now go for abstract ideas. What more time can mean? The best time can be, okay, why not the best time? This can be a flip perspective to it. Or why not the best time? Okay, can you help me out there? I'm not able to think when I'm standing in front of you. What else does the best time can mean? Happy, when you're happy, when you're content about something. Anything else? You can also think of abstracting and then cancel it out, because this is you just doing the brainstorming behind your copy. So you just find several perspectives of what can a best time mean. Best time can further mean when you come out of problems, when you are disconnected from your emotions, okay, when you are objective about something, when you are not anxious, when you are calm, etc. Now the dimension will start opening itself, and you'll suddenly feel like there's a lot to write about this. So you did it for this term. Now repairing the roof, solving the problems, identifying the problems, correct approach. Courage to accept, right? Courage to accept that my roof has a lot of holes. Okay, and having resources to solve that problem. Repairing the roof will further mean brainstorming on your ideas or something. It can mean someone is doing something. Okay, so what else can roof mean? Roof can mean a protective covering. It can mean having some cushion. Okay, it can mean having a parachute while you are covering, when you are flying off the aeroplane. Anything. Just keep on thinking, and ideas will keep on flowing from this point. Guarding the self. Safe, yeah. It can it can be called as a safeguard. Breaking the roof limit, breaking the glass ceiling. Something can come from this. Okay. Roof can come, for example, the protective roof of your family, the protective roof of your religion, the protective roof of ideas, the protective roof of the people around you, your support system. About your hard work can be a roof which protects you. So now the ideas are flowing. Sun is shining. Sun is shining means the times are good. You don't have any problem in your life right now. Sun is shining. You have a lot of resources. At the point when you have a lot of resources, when you are calm, when you're not anxious, what can shine mean more? Good ideas. What? I'm not able to understand. Something they will achieve. Yeah, something that they are going to achieve from something. shine, when does a person shine? When he or she is very confident. Okay. Now I'm just trying to when I said to write, this was the first exercise I did, and now you'll have this set of ideas in which you can write, and according to, now you see the topic in a complete manner and you'll figure out of what connections you have to make from where. So this is the part where you will get a lot of ideas from these lines on what to write on which term, so much to write on. So this was my approach, first approach. Now I have a lot to write on. The second approach was similar. I list down the example for everything that I used to write. I used to divide my essays in sections. Okay. For example, if this is the copy of my essay, okay, I'm writing here. This is a UPSC copy. One line here, one line here. So what I did is, I used to write paragraph like this. Okay. And end it here. Second paragraph I'll start from here, right? End it here. Third paragraph start of here. Okay, end it here. Now this will make your copy look neat. An examiner would know, okay, one idea is given here, one idea is given here, one idea is given here. And while you're ending this one, you're going to connect it with the next one. For example, if you're saying about the roof is like the protective support that we have from a family, but also for some others, the roof can be a way to use their hard work. Now you write about hard work here. Okay, so you're developing the flow by connecting one paragraph with the other paragraph. So this was my approach. This was the outlook or structure of my copy. Now examples are listed, original ideas are there. You have a lot to write about. I would just like to tell you one more thing about intro and conclusion. So what I used to do is, there are two essays. I had two different strategies for both the essays. I will not start both the essays in a similar manner. I used to read a lot of poems, so I sometimes started with a poem, and then I used to elaborate in introduction. Always define some terms in the essay, in the introduction, because sometimes we think that examiner knows the term, that we know the term, but the examiner doesn't know that you know. So you need to tell the examiner that you know that he knows, that you don't know but you know. So you have to write it in the copy, okay, in the introduction itself. So to write that, just write in brief about the terms that are there and what do they mean to you, not completely, but what you are going to talk about in this essay about those terms, so that he knows that you know the key terms that are listed in the essay. Apart from this, I'll give you the example of what I did in UPSC. So in this one, the best time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. I started with this headline, okay, in caps lock, in capitals, that the healthcare system is burdened. So many people to take oxygen, but no oxygen to give. I completed these commas, and then I wrote shows the headline on such and such date of the newspaper in India, and then I am like, people are running away for oxygen. Very, very, very nice detailed account of what was happening in COVID-19. Okay, and then I connected with how when the sun was shining back in 2018 before 2020, but our healthcare system had a lot of loopholes in it. We did not identify it. Okay, and then I went on how when the sun is not shining now, that the COVID is there, we are identifying the loopholes, but we don't have resources to fill those loopholes right now. And this,
how do you find out accurate situation?
I had to do a lot of brainstorming. So because COVID was very fresh, so I knew that something I'm going to get from COVID somewhere. So I had this in my head. Okay, apart from that, you can also be prepared on some very common topics like self-reflection. UPSC keeps asking self-reflection now and then. Every year is asking. Do some PYQ analysis. Education, have something prepared on it. Compassion, have something prepared for it. Okay, and correcting your own mistakes, have something prepared on it. Self-doubt or something, have something prepared for it. You will get a very good example from life of Lord Buddha. Okay, you will have very good examples from life of Mahatma Gandhi. So all these things you can keep. In my case, I just found COVID to be very appropriate, and I wrote it. After that, I completed the essay, all the essay. Towards the end, what I'll do is I'll connect the introduction again to the same story that I started with. So everyone in this world, it's a normal human tendency that people like complete things. Examiner also like things that look complete, that has a conclusion. So it was a sad story when I started, that COVID-19 is there and people are running away around for oxygen. People are not going to get it, etc., etc. Then I'll come back that 1 month after, maybe 3 months after that story that I talked about in the newspaper, about the newspaper story that I talked about in the introduction, talked about in this essay, what happened is this: now we are actually getting a lot of oxygen, we are getting out of second wave. India is the only country which is still open, China has a lockdown, something like this I wrote, so that I connected it with the entire introduction again, and I made this loop in my essay. So it makes it looks complete, it makes it look like the examiner, to the examiner, it looks like that you have planned it very well. Maybe you have not, you're just using this trick, but it looks complete, it looks good, and it has a positive flip. So in one of my essay, I'll always make this loop. This always helps. For example, in introduction, in one of the essays I was writing about this, I started with about this, that a man from some small street in Tamil Nadu, okay, and he is writing letters to the professors sitting in the chambers of Ivy League colleges. This is a time when number system is going to go through a complete change, and this I am writing very descriptive, interesting account of it. Towards the end, I will write, okay, I was talking about The Man Who Knew Infinity, that movie. I'll give that reference, okay, and then I will complete it with that. I was talking about this personality. Who am I talking about? Ramananji, and I will complete it in the conclusion, but I'll give this introduction to him and then complete in the conclusion. So this kind of loop strategy you can use in essay. It will look good, it will look pretty, and write original ideas, something. Any doubt that you have from essay, you can ask me. Please. Mm-hmm.
So you are writing as a COVID-19, so it means one dimension.
Only in the introduction. Yeah, I'm not going to write the entire essay about COVID-19. For example, I've written about self-doubt, self-correction, about the mistakes that I have, about the mistake that I committed. I talked about the concept of time, talked about these concepts, the concept of time, past, present, future, how it is, so abstract, how the concept of time is like fluid. Be more creative, open the dimensions, work on the spiritual dimensions of everything. Go in the spiritual realm, write about that, because the people who are checking your essay, they don't want to know the number of schemes or the number of facts they want to know the original ideas, how much can you think, and that will be rewarded in essay. Only in the introduction you can stick to one theme, but in the entire essay, the exercise that we did, decoding it will help you land a very nice essay, very diverse essay. Anything else about essay?
Would the use of fancy vocabulary be a facilitation or an annoyance?
It won't be an annoyance, I would say, but if there's a lot of, if it comes naturally to you, to some people fancy vocabulary comes very naturally, then it's okay, use it. Don't force it there. If it looks forced, anyone can identify that he or she is using, for example, if there's a very simple word for it, and if you're using some Shakespeare kind of a word for it, he or she will get irritated. But if there's a word that has no replacement, and you think that word is very appropriate for the situation, use that. Just write anything that comes naturally to you. Because I saw that there's this essay topper of Vikram Grewal sir, who is also in IFS. He got 161 in essay 3 years ago, and he's someone who reads a lot of books. So he used to quote from a lot of books. So now people are running behind writing quotes, writing about scholars, about books, etc. But it doesn't come naturally to them. For example, to me, these stories come very naturally, this COVID-19 story, and I am someone who reads fiction a lot, so I can make this account that a girl standing in between the curtains looking outside, the sun is shining, but it all looks so gloomy, the people are walking on the road. I can just define a scene very well. So it helped me, it comes naturally to me. If it comes naturally to you, you can develop this skill too. But write whatever comes naturally to you. Don't write anything that someone else is writing and then getting the marks. Okay? Anything else about essay? The second one. Okay. So mostly the second one was based upon, for me it was like a poem. So this poem called If by Rudyard Kipling. I used to use this poem a lot. It has a lot of emotion, the similar poem. It's called If. Okay. So you can search it out. You can get some poems like If. There's some other poems. I personally did not quote from a lot of religious books, because I just feel like UPSC, I was very scared that I don't want a penalty mark in UPSC, because UPSC can give you a penalty if you are referring from some sources that are very obvious. I'm not saying it's a very bad thing. For example, Gita has some, it's actually one of the best works of literature, I feel like. So if you're quoting from that, you can quote from that, but write it in the English. Don't write it in for example, if you're quoting something from the Kannada literature, don't write it in Kannada. Write it in English so that he or she can read it, because UPSC doesn't allow you to go from one script to another. So I used to write poem, and then from poem I used to open, from that terms I used to relate my topic to that. So this was my approach. Story was my approach. Another approach was quotes. Sometime Mahatma Gandhi's quote are very, very appropriate to write. Last year I wrote quotes also in one of the essays. Sometimes I used to develop a poem then and there on a topic, just 4 lines and write it. If you have that kind of knack, you can do that. It will look really nice. He or she will know that you have developed this rhyme or something like this. Okay, so that can be another strategy. Anything else about essay? I think I've discussed essay ethics. It's already 12:24. 1 hour I've spoken. I'll just take a quick 2 minutes break. You can ask me questions.
How do you generate these anecdotes?
These anecdotes. So I used to write on this platform called Quora since last 7 years. So we were reading. I used to read a lot of stuff. So from there I used to write some fiction in small stories, this and that. So for my case, it came naturally to me. But if you start reading more fiction, you'll get the hang of how to generate fiction. For example, I wrote once that 4 p.m. It's 4 p.m. in a year of 2072. Some people are walking on the street wearing oxygen masks. We can see huge lines of people lining up to get water, because water is not so cheap now. I was writing something on climate change, so I used this account there. So it's always a good strategy to develop fiction like this, because it's going to wake examiner from the sleep, because he has to think and imagine this. If the reader can imagine what you're writing, you're going to get good marks in that. Be more descriptive in your introductions. Okay, it looks more artistic, it looks very original, and it's not something you're quoting from somewhere else, it's something you are writing yourself. Okay.
For every dimension, are you substantiating the
No,
goal?
not like this. Some examples I'm substantiating, yeah. That is important, that is good, but write the original thought also. He or she should know that you have written the dimension, and write good handwriting. My essay copies are beautiful. I've uploaded it on my Telegram. Very nice writing, very legible, but good writing, good neat writing is important. Don't do a lot of cutting. Don't underline a lot. This is another point. In essay, don't keep on underlining like GS, because he or she is going to sit and read your essay well. They are getting paid by UPSC. They are very, very nice examiners. Do not over underline. Do not over. I never use diagrams. I used to just put a box on with a pencil and scale on the headings of the section that I am using. I did not underline at all. Sometimes, even if you see in my copies, you will find some terms, main terms underlined, but just don't keep on underlining things. We have this habit of underlining a lot of things. Don't do it in essay, because essay should flow like art. Essay should come naturally to you. You should love writing essay. Just don't underline it a lot, I would say. Done with the essay? Yeah, I used to give it. I used to always give a flip perspective towards the end. So for example, the first essay I wrote this year was forests are the best case studies for economic excellence. And I started with a story of tribe of some Odisha tribe which is using forest as some resources, something like this I started. Then I opened a dimensions like I was going parallelly. I opened a dimension with socialistic economic excellence, capitalistic economic excellence. Then from both the perspectives, I was opening of what does it mean in an economy, and parallel to it, for example, resource distribution, how it is done in an economy, how it is done in forest. Equality, how important is it for the economy and how is it in the forest. For example, I quoted the story of a bird which is picking up some seeds in its mouth. The seeds which cannot be accommodated in its beak fell down on the ground, germinated into a plant. Some other animal came and ate it. So now what I'm telling from this is a bird can only hold the amount that can only get the amount that it can hold, only the amount that it needs. The bird cannot accumulate that amount anywhere. Now this is such a simple story, and I wrote it in a very flowery account that I usually do. That some bird, I wrote the name of that bird is flying and all. So I showed resource distribution from this story of how it is happening, the minerals are coming back. For example, even if the deer is excreting something, even that is being used by some other organism. So I was drawing these parallels throughout my essay, and towards the end I gave it the perspective of why forests are not the best case studies for economic excellence, because tiger, which is more powerful, will eat the weaker animal, and this is not the example of economic excellence. For example, if I am someone who is a very big businessman and I am just eating up the person's salary who is working on a daily wages, this is not economic excellence, but you will find this in forests. So this kind of flip perspective you can give towards the end. It will show that you can think from multiple perspective and you don't only support the essay. Sometimes you can completely negate the essay throughout your essay. You can completely negate with the idea of examiner, but have reasons to do that and support it with example. Okay.
What makes someone to clear this exam in initial attempt? Like what difference?
I think firstly is that have they given the required amount of time before taking the very first exam. It took me 3 attempts. I know someone who has cleared it in first attempt, Aditya. His rank is 70 this year. So he has prepared well for 1.5 years before writing his very first prelims. And you should have someone who is, some guidance available throughout that 1.5 years, so that you are doing everything right. Because what happens with people like me is we commit mistakes, we are out of the list, then we learn again. We commit, out of the list, learn again. But at least this can be learned from my case, and did not repeat my mistakes. I failed prelims only once. I failed mains, not mains. I could not get through the list only once. Then finally I was in the list because I was not repeating my mistakes. So I think what it takes is the required amount of time before you write your very first attempt, right guidance, and I think that constant mix of everything, proper study, regular attempting of test series, and then ultimately getting there. And obviously acing your option is very important. If someone's option is anthropology, on my Telegram channel I have uploaded a lot of resources. I'm going to upload it more. So also I'm going to take some sessions on YouTube on anthropology separately. That is also going to help you. I'll open the floor to questions. Something else people are talking about. Essay and ethics are done. Answer writing. Essay writing, some books. Okay, so there's a book called World's Best 50 Essays. It's a golden colored book. It has the collection of best 50 essays, and from that series you can also find a book, Best 50 Speeches, something like this, World's Best 50 Speeches. You'll find very nice idea in that. I have also read this book called Discovery of India by Jawaharlal Nehru. It was very nice. This book called Letters from a Father to Daughter by Jawaharlal Nehru to Indira Gandhi. In that book he has written very, very simple accounts of nature and all. That was a very nice read. Take it from your ethics, take it from philosophy. I'll tell you one more source. So sources for ethics, this channel called School of Life. I think School of Life, anyone watches this channel? It's on YouTube, right? Now they have this amazing account for literature, philosophy, art, science. So I even made notes from this channel sometimes, and this helped me a lot in essay. You can go for this, School of Life. The newspaper is there, GS4 is there, some books are there. Again, Man Ki Baat examples are there. You can always quote them in your essay introduction. All right. Any other question on essay? Nothing. I think practice more. Practice a lot. Before in this attempt, between prelims and mains, I wrote 8 full-length tests of essays. Every week I used to write 1 test, 2 essays every week. Don't ignore essay. Even if you can start writing now, every week write 1 essay in 1.5 hours. You'll get the hang of it. There's no way that you're scoring low if you're writing from now on till 2024. Someone was talking about answer writing, and also someone asked me about value addition resources for answer writing, right? So answer writing, how to develop answer writing? So what I did initially was, I was not writing full length papers initially. I was writing 1 or 2 answers every day, and I was first learn the structuring of a good answer. Okay, so what a good answer looks like you'll understand it after you've written some 1 or 2 answers, and then you're getting evaluated by your evaluators. So don't rush into completing an answer in 7 minutes or 11 minutes right now. First you develop this structure and solidify it in your head, get it evaluated by your respective evaluators, work on the feedback, and then ultimately you go and start writing 5 questions in 35 minutes. Something like this. So answer writing is a skill that you will develop over the period of time. Start writing 1 or 2 answers every day, get it evaluated by the people, by the evaluators, work on the feedback, keep doing this, then increase it to 5 questions, for example in 50 minutes, then come down to 40 minutes. The ideal time is 35 minutes for 5 10 marker questions. So you develop over the period of time. If you start running behind completing 5 questions in 35 minutes right now, your structure cannot be developed so well. You'll just be writing something in the required amount of time. Okay, so don't focus on time right now, focus on the structure and then go for time. So this is how you start. What are the characteristics of a good answer? First of all, you should hit the demand of the question. So it happens with me also that I have some very nice content prepared and I just feel like I want to put it in answer somehow because I prepared it. But that content may not be relatable with the question being asked. So please hit the right demand of question, understand the question well, write relevant things only to the question. Do not run behind writing anything that you know, write what he or she has asked. So first of all, the demand of the question, hitting the demand of question is very important. I am talking about general studies here, okay. After that, basic definitions are very important for introduction, basic intro, okay, it's very important. Apart from that, normally the question will have 2 parts or 3 parts. 10 marker will have 2 parts. So you make a heading like this, support your question, support your heading with some points, okay. Also quote a lot of examples here. So this is also very important for GS. If you are quoting good examples for each point that you are making, it's going to increase the legibility and credibility of an answer. Then you will write about second thing, okay, write about this, quote some example. Then again I had the same strategy, either case studies or I will write best practices, okay. Then have some pre-prepared conclusions. For example, have this account of, for example in GS2 and 3 you can have some committees recommendation, very important to make your answers better and to make your answers more credible. About the conclusion, I was saying have some conclusions ready. For example, this year in e-governance there was a summit that was held in Hyderabad and I read it in newspaper and I was very sure that whenever a question on e-governance is going to come, I am going to conclude it with, in the recent summit in Hyderabad, this and this was decided, so that e-governance becomes whatever in the question is written. So have these pre-prepared conclusion on e-governance, on financial inclusion, on food security, on social justice issues, all these things you find. For example, J.R. Jaitley committee was there, which was very coming in news again and again this time. Have that, read about it. A lot of committees, on my Telegram I am going to upload the committee's name also with the recommendations. I have given a lot of effort to that, so I am a little jealous that you will get it straight away, but I am so happy to help. I wish someone had uploaded it in my time so I did not have to search it all around. I will upload that also, that will help you in this part. So a good answer I think will have all these things. Now a lot of people are going to write to the demand. Everyone will have this, everyone will have this, they may not have this, okay, they may not have the example to support. So you have to have a lot of example. I had it prepared, write it at one place. For example, financial inclusion, I always used to write about UPI 123 pay initiative that RBI has taken to make financial inclusion better. In agriculture, I always had some examples from Shanta Kumar committee or something like this. I'll upload those notes, value addition, on my Telegram, you can refer to that. And this, I don't think a lot of people write. The case studies I was talking about. Similar case study that you use in essay, ethics, can be used here also. And also people will not have prepared conclusions. They're going to write, hence we know that this is, they'll complete their answer. But your conclusion, if it's better, it always leaves a very nice impression on the examiner. Okay, so this one. How to structure your answer well? So in my case, again, if this is an answer sheet, okay, so I will, this much question is written. I will write an introduction here, something like this. Alright, maybe I'll make some diagram, a small diagram about something. I'll write here about it. Okay. The first thing, I always used to make a box like this. First heading, point number one, example, point number 2, example, or something like this. Okay. Further, I'm coming on the second page. Similar thing, you write the second part, then you conclude it. Have a structure like this. Have a structure pre-prepared in your head for an answer, supported with examples. Go ahead to the page number 2. Write there, make boxes, make good bullet points. So this will look very pretty in your copies. Okay. So this was something about answer writing. I'm covering everything quickly, otherwise 2 parts are for 10 marker. Yeah. No, I think introduction is always, it's good to start introduction with either the definition of the key points, or you can have data. That helps in GS3 a lot. Everyone who has scored for example, Mayur, whose rank is 5 this year, I talked to him recently, and his GS3 score is very nice. Mine is only 81 marks, his score is nice. He was telling me that he wrote a lot of statistics in GS3. So you can start your answer with statistics and data with the report from where you're picking it up. It's always good to pick up from budget, economic survey, Niti Aayog reports, more credible sources. Okay, don't write that, don't keep writing about the Oxfam reports or something like this, because they are often in controversy. You don't know where the examiner is coming from. I'm not saying those reports are bad, but they are often in controversy of what they are writing about. A lot of people don't agree with the view of the reports published by them, but the government reports are always nice, right, credible. Third thing I want to talk about here is answer writing is done. How to do PYQ analysis you guys talked about, right? Okay. One thing, how to complete the paper in UPSC, GS. This is very nice, this worked for me. I really want to tell you this strategy. So I was writing paper in around 4 hours initially in my 2021 attempt, and I came to a point where this year I have completed my anthropology paper 2-3 minutes before. So keep it on the side that please take my paper away. So my strategy was in entire your preparation in entire UPSC, break your everything into small parts, have small targets. So this was my 1-point strategy, breaking, divide and rule kind of strategy, to divide it into small parts and achieve those targets regularly. So 2 things are there. Firstly, number of questions. Secondly, the time available to you. Now these 2 have to run in tandem for you to complete the paper. One more thing, marks. Okay. 250 hai, 250 marks. Questions 20. Time 3 hours or 180 minutes. I took these at 175 minutes. Okay. Because 5 minutes will be there for me to sign the attendance sheet, to maybe drink water once, not go to the washroom, otherwise the paper is gone. So this much amount of time you have. These are the marks you have to attempt. These are the questions. Now 175, 250 and 20. CSAT test. What is the common divisor that I can use here to divide this into small parts? 5. If I divide it by 5, that means this is 4. Okay, but this will not be so useful. I'll just tell you why. This is 50 marks each. This is 35 minutes each. Okay. Now my paper, my approach to it is I am writing 5 papers, 35 minutes each, 50 marks each in 3 hours. Okay. This was my approach. So now I've broken it down. So how does it help is, see, if you are starting your paper at 9 AM, okay, that means I will take my first update at 9:35 AM and I'll see if I have attempted 50 marks or not. Now these 50 marks from the question can be 5 10 markers question, or it can be 3 15 markers question plus introduction of, or intro, or 1 page written of the 4th 15 marker question, because you cannot divide the 15 markers completely into 50 marks. So I should attempt 3 complete question and some part of the next question, maybe a page of it. So this was my approach. First update at 9:35, then I'll be looking at 10:10, then I'll be looking at 10:45, then I'll be looking it at 11 20, and then ultimately at 11:55. Okay, and this, if you proceed this way, if you have these timestamps ready, they were so ready that even now I did not have to add 35 minutes. I know that I am going to take an update at 9:35, 10:10, 10:45, 11:20, 11:55. Now this way if you go, you will realize that the quality of the answer is uniform and throughout the paper. It's not like you've written 3-4 answers so nice and towards the end you've written answer which are like not so nice, because you are actually on a more or less average pace throughout the paper. So this really helped me. If you are someone who is not able to attempt the complete paper, if you are using this strategy, you should let me know that this helped you to complete the paper, because this completely changed the way I wrote mains paper. Same thing in optional. 5 questions are there, 35 minutes to each question. End of story. Complete the paper like this. Okay. This is the small thing that I wanted to tell you, that divide this paper into 5 different parts, have those timestamps, attempt 50 marks in each timestamp. Any question in this? This is going to help you. I just feel like this is really helpful. This is all. How to do the PYQ analysis. So what I did in PYQ analysis is, again, me, Dvij and Shubhatosh, we sat together and we just looked at prelims paper in sort of how the examiner is making the question. See, if I tell you that this glass is full of tender coconut water, this is the true statement. Okay. If I asked her to make this statement wrong, she will say this glass is empty. Okay, and maybe 8 out of 10 people will say this glass is empty. No one is going to say this glass is a kite, right? Because all of us humans, we have a similar tendency to to speak a lie. It's not so easy to lie. We all follow a similar pattern. So you have to hit on that pattern of why and how examiner is making some statement wrong. For example, if you identify the papers, the organization and environment are wrong. Okay, facts are wrong, extreme statements are wrong. Think of it like in this way. If he or she is framing a question from a positive frame of mind in prelims, because it's a government exam, one of the toughest exams for the government, so they'll not just write negative things about the government for no reason, you know. Only the student who are enrolled in this can this may be wrong, because the government will not form a scheme like this in which they are excluding certain section of students, you know. So have this kind of analysis. Positively worded statement are right, facts are wrong, the environment organizations are usually wrong. More the text in the question, easier it is. Have this frame of mind, because you'll have more things to eliminate from, you'll have more things to know from. So a lot of people are very scared when they see very big question in prelims. Think it inversely. It becomes easier when you have a lot of text. Okay. So this kind of analysis you do from the examiner's point of view of how did he set this question. Another thing, seeing the paper of this year, it was a very tough paper. I had 2 advice for you. The first one, keep your attempts limited now. This is not a time that you are attempting more than 90 questions, 95 questions, because you're going to end up getting a lot of negatives. Okay, so keep your attempt limited. I think even someone who has attempted 80 questions well this year may qualify. If I was to write prelims this year, I would have attempted 75 to 80 questions. These questions, only one pair are correct, only 2 pairs are correct. My 2022 prelims were the very first time they were asked, and I was very sure that I'm not going to attempt any of them. I did not. I attempted only 90 questions that year. So keep your attempts very limited. Increase your accuracy. We don't want to end up with a lot of negative marks. Secondly, don't ignore CSAT. Practice and give it the required amount of time that it needs. Thirdly, start reading a bit more factual stuff, because now the questions are becoming more factual in medieval. There was a time when the questions were largely analytical, but now they are asking very factual questions too. So these are my 3 I would say conclusion from this year's paper. Otherwise, I just cannot give a guarantee that even I would have cleared if I had attempted this year. So that's always the case. That is something on analysis and prelims. CSAT, that is almost done. I'm almost done. If there's anything else you want, we just have, I planned it for around 1.5 hours. We have 15 minutes left. At 1 o'clock, I'll be happy to let you go from my session. But before that, you can just ask me anything that you want me to discuss about that I left behind. Current affairs. So I had religiously followed Insights IAS magazines for current affairs, especially for mains. Very nice compilations, very nice examples. So what do you do is, I read Indian Express regularly. In the beginning, I was reading the Hindu, then I moved to Indian Express. Okay, so I support newspaper reading a lot. There are two reasons for it. The first one, it's better than studying. You know, it's more fun than studying. The second one is that there's some news that keep on repeating themselves. For example, if there's a crisis in Sudan, a lot of people are going to write about in the editorials about what crisis, why crisis. So you will always remember some things from that if you're reading that again and again, and the recall becomes better. So main issues are going to repeat themselves for at least for a week. And if you're reading newspaper regularly, you don't have to put in that extra amount of effort to actually remember all those things. That is one point. Second point, all the things that I talk about, I've been talking about examples, case studies, etc. They come from newspaper only. So very first source should be newspaper reading, important. Secondly, the magazines, the monthly magazine that you're getting. And from those magazines, how to make notes. What I did is, I had on my OneNote 3 sections, GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, 4 sections were there. From these sections, I used to write the syllabus point, and in these pointers, I used to write the example or case studies so that my notes are more or less organic. That I am developing them continuously, I am deleting them, some irrelevant part, I am adding some more case studies, some more schemes. So don't overload those notes writing complete news and all. I don't support writing notes in the newspaper like that, but you should know that if you, for this you have to know the syllabus well. You should know, for example, I am talking about RBI 123 pay initiative, sorry, UPI 123 pay initiative. I read it in the newspaper and I instantly knew I am going to quote it in financial inclusion question. So have this kind of mindset related with the paper syllabus that you have in GS, and just pick it up from there and put it in your notes online. So because current affairs are going to help you, see, not so much in prelims, because in prelims a lot of vague questions are being asked, not vague to make it a little tough, random questions are being asked. You cannot possibly cover everything in from the current affairs and answer the questions in prelims. But for mains, question will be largely static. But all those brownie points you're getting is when you're connecting the current affairs in examples, in the best practices and case studies in GS. And that you get from current affairs. Is it clear on how to manage these? Anything else? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What I used to do is, see, you cannot possibly know all the 20 questions. It's very true. No one knows, even the rank one would not know all the 20 questions and all the GS papers. So attempt the question that you don't know towards the end. That is my first advice. If you don't know complete question, attempt it towards the end. So that even if the quality is decreased, your marks are not going to be so much different than you attempting that question well and writing some random story. So that is my first advice. Second advice is, if you don't know the second part so well, just write some relevant things around that topic and do not overdo it, because examiner does not want to read a lot of irrelevant stuff. So for example, I would just focus on the first part for 2 pages and write the second part in like half a page and then conclude it. But write that half a page so that examiner would know that you have written something about it. Anything else? That comes in the, that comes again in the analysis. I'm sorry I did not do it for mains. So in mains you can always find some topics and you can actually predict what is going to ask this year. So me, Dwej and Subrutosh used to do this together. So what we realized is, for example, in social justice, it was asked, National Food Security Act was asked last year, okay, 2013. And we realized that from every topic you'll have some weight of topics. So in the subject, you'll have some weight of a topic. So if NFSA have some weight, I would find an alternate, he is not going to ask NFSA again. He'll ask something alternate to NFSA which has a similar relevant or the same weight that NFSA has. So we were like, okay, this Rights of People with Disabilities Act is also important, and he asked directly Right of People with Disabilities Act this year. So you can predict in this way and prioritize it, that you go to buy those topic wise mains questions. You will find the compilations market on the books, maybe I think in the coaching also you'll find topic wise questions from previous years. Go to those questions and find that which are repetitive topics. Financial inclusion every year. Almost every year is asking financial inclusion. Agriculture is a very nice topic that is being asked. Okay, e-governance is something that is there every year. In security, you'll see was being asked for a very long time, but now security is becoming more about cyber security, because UPSC changes itself with the time, right? So you can identify these things, prepare those topics well. Now there was one more thing, how to make notes, someone asked me. So I would say for prelims you don't have to make a lot of notes for every book. Don't keep on Lakshmikant notes, etc. It will just be another book that you're writing in your own writing, because almost everything is important in those books. So don't write anything. What I used to do is in Lakshmikant you'll find some empty pages after every chapter. So I used to write the gist of those chapter in those pages. So just to recall it again. So you can make the notes on the book itself for the basic books. Now when I come to mains notes, extremely important. For each topic, like I was talking about e-governance, have some basic content that they're teaching you in the class or from the material of your coaching, in which you're going to summarize the static part in 2 pages or something. For example, if I'm talking about e-governance, then you're going to read about National E-Governance Plan, you're going to read about PM Vani. This is all becoming static now, of what is e-governance, what is business to business, government to consumer, etc. This is the something that static part of that topic that they are going to teach in class. So have those notes prepared, and on those notes I used to use that sticky note, and I used to put the example over those examples in current affairs. Okay, so that's how you make your notes. Very crisp notes from GS. I am uploading all my notes on my Telegram channel again. It's like that, like, subscribe and share. I just don't want to feel like that, but that is going to be helpful, because all the content that I have prepared, I am going to upload it on Telegram. So you can refer to that on seeing how was I making notes. Okay, anything else? IFS. Okay, IFS and anthropology. I'll answer the IFS first. So I was reading this book called, I have read this book called A Life in Diplomacy. Okay, I think it's by a previous ambassador, Mr. Raj Gotra, and he was the first generation Indian foreign service officer of independent India. So he's written about how the foreign policy was shaped. So I got interested in about this after reading that, and my uncle, my mama, was the principal of Indian Embassy School in Riyadh. So he was dealing with a lot of IFS officers. So I was actually contemplating about what kind of work. So for me, IFS is something that I can, that is the closest I can be to a global citizen or something like this. I was always interested in what is happening in India as well as what is happening beyond the borders, because world is constantly becoming smaller. Now you can go from one place to another in 24-30 hours. That means we are living in a world which may not be defined by borders after some time. It's becoming increasingly smaller. We are more connected, and in that such a smaller world, if there's one profession that I wanted to take, was the foreign service. So that is why I started preparing for this exam. And it's a beautiful service. It pains in my heart when I see people who don't want IFS. No, I have all the respect for IAS and IPS. They are amazing services, but this service is also something that you can actually look into, and what kind of work they do, because this is one profession that you cannot possibly practice without being a diplomat. For example, you can read about international relations, you can be in the supporting role there, but the person who implements it is always going to be someone who has cleared UPSC, at least in India, and then is going for that. So that was my initial part. And about anthropology, how many of you have anthropology as an optional? A lot of people. So I suppose a lot of you are from engineering or medical background. No? So I was from an engineering background. So I'm not telling you that this helped me to prepare anthropology. This made my life hell to start with anthropology, because I had no clue of what is happening in genetics. I did not know about evolution much. I did not know anything. So my few cents on this subject, I have given all my resources, everything. If I write it down right now, it will take 1 hour for me. Everything is written in a 8-part strategy in my Telegram channel. You can go refer to it. Part by part I have dealt with which sources, what to do, etc. I suppose you are also taking classes for anthropology, right? So that is going to help you a lot. In my case, I did not take classes, but I don't suggest anyone to do that. Okay, that is going to help you a lot. My point on this is, see, there are different parts in anthropology. You be very patient with the subject. You have to learn a lot. Don't be very shy of learning. If you learn better, you can recall better and write it there. Apart from that, there are several strategies that I am going to discuss. If I start discussing, it will not be fair to people who don't have anthropology right now. But I would say read this book called Anthropology, called by Ember and Ember. Anthropology by Ember, E-M-B-E-R. You will have a very nice, interesting base in it, in anthropology to start with. Apart from that, just keep following your classes. Whoever is teaching you, take help from them to figure out of how to read certain topics, how and what to report in your answers. See different copies. Dwej has scored 315 marks this year. I got 290. See our copies. Look how we are delivering content in our copies, diagrams, etc. I'll be talking about it. If you want, there can be a separate session sometime. Maybe I would love to talk in deep about anthropology, but right now I'll have to limit myself for the sake of people who don't have this option as their subject as their option. Anything else? CSAT, I would say my some few cents on CSAT is respect every portion of that paper. You will find there is reading comprehension, then there is mathematics, then there is logical reasoning, assertion reason, etc. Sometimes it was my strategy too that I used to just attempt mathematics and logical reasoning, and I did not attempt English at all. And this helped me in 2021, not so much in 2022, because maths is becoming so tough that my friend who has scored 99.5 some percentile in CAT, he was saying that he had a tough time solving maths and logic of CSAT. So that means you have to give every part its due respect. Focusing on maths only. But by the end of 1.5 hours, I realized that I have not even solved 28 questions or 29 questions. And I just went to the reading comprehension, solved 15 questions, and out of the 15, 11 or 12 got right. That was my luck working there. Otherwise, I would have been out of the list this year only. So that is something that I did wrong, that I did not give equal amount of time to all these topics that I am talking about, even while preparing and while attempting the paper too. And keep practicing. Have this formula sheet ready, in which you have written in smaller chunks of all these formulas, all these tricks that you are going to use, and just practice previous year questions very well. Anything else? Keep reading our reading comprehension you're talking about. How to make mains classes and the reading time. So I would say scheduling is very important in this. I used to schedule my weeks and days very well. That if I'm sitting at 9 o'clock, I'll have a 2-hour session at study, and I'm going to complete this much amount of portion. Then I'll take this much break, then I'll complete this much amount of portion. So for me, initially I am someone who did not have any experience in studying so much. So people from my college are still surprised of how this guy cracked the UPSC civil service examination. Even till now, people are not, a lot of my friends, they did not believe that. So I uploaded a story of people in my town who were interviewing me. I did not upload that I got the rank, and people were replying that, okay, what wrong did you do that you are being interviewed on the camera? And then I uploaded that I got rank 86. So I wanted to say that I was someone who could not even possibly sit for 2 hours and study back in 2019. But what I did is I downloaded this app called Forest app. Maybe a lot of you are using it, in which you can decide the amount of time to start with. And I was someone who had a lot of distraction from social media too. So you just put a tree in that app. Okay, it starts from a seed. and your phone is locked for that much amount of time. And if you take your phone and disturb it in between, that you'll have a broken tree in your jungle forever. So this was something that really hurt me, that I did not want a lot of broken trees in my jungle. I do have though. There were urges from inside to, you know, take my phone, scroll on maybe Quora or somewhere. I was not using any social media, but I used to scroll on Quora or Twitter sometimes. So use that app to develop the sitting time, and that app gives you how much time you are spending daily, average of your week, average of your month. So that kind of measurement, I think people who say don't measure hours, maybe it's good for them because they like to sit and study. I did not like it initially, so I had to measure it so that to be sure that I am putting the required amount of time. So with classes, for example, if you are able to give 5 hours, 4 to 5, I think that more than that it will be really tough to give. But keep giving those 4 to 5 hours. Keep tracking your progress. You know, keep tracking that time. And once now, if you see my jungle, it's like a big jungle which has the total amount of hours that I've put in for a long period of time. So it's always good to keep a track objectively of things. Write down your targets. So when I used to wake up, just in front of my bed, I had my board, whiteboard on which I used to plan my day. The first thing I saw after waking up that I have to complete this many targets today. So I did not feel like sleeping again. I love sleeping, but then I got up and I saw it and I was on my toes. So have these kind of cues, you know, when it will keep you, because you are the boss, you are the employee, you are the person, you are the team. You have to give accountability to yourself. You have to make your own targets, meet them, give the report to yourself. So there's no one else who is going to tell you to study. Maybe some parents, I think parents also don't tell at this age. They believe in you that you're preparing, and they're very proud, and I'm also very proud of all of us who are actually attempting this exam. It's not so easy to decide at this age to actually even attempt this exam. It's one of the toughest examinations of this world, not only this country. So massive respect for each one of you who is coming up and going to prepare for this. It's going to be a nice journey. It has completely changed me as a person. Regardless of getting a rank or not getting a rank, it's going to stay with you all the time, forever. You're going to stand out of a crowd wherever you go, whatever you do. You'll be someone who knows about what's happening in the country, beyond the country, different issues. You'll have things to talk about. You'll excel in any career that you take. So be very proud of yourself that you are a part of the crowd who's preparing for this exam. It's going to make you a more responsible and a better citizen. It has completely changed me as a person, and it will change you too. So I don't know what I started talking about. I have this habit of talking of random things. Anything else? I think I'm done with the time. Personality test. Okay, the interview, right? So what happened in this? I have a very interesting story interview, but I don't get marks in good, like amazing marks. My first attempt, this was my score. My second attempt, this was my score. Okay, so I'm not someone. Though when I started preparing, I thought interviews is going to be the part that will give me good marks. But then this was my score for 2 years. This year my interview story is very interesting. So as I told you, I write blogs on Quora since last 7 years. So I had this space. It's called Chai Biscuit. My blog is called Chai Biscuit. So this was the first question that ma'am asked me in my interview. That what do you write on Quora? So I told her that it's a blog called Chai Biscuit. And then she looked at me. She's like, why is it biscuit and why is it not biscuit? She said biscuit with a K. I like a BISKUT. She's like, why is that? So I told her that I related to my father who calls biscuit as biscuit since the very beginning, and it's the regional language that we usually use on the tea shops in India here and there, that you want a biscuit. So it keeps me connected to the regional tea shops because I love tea. I love having tea, so I just told her that it keeps me connected. And then she smiled and she said, okay, what did you write about? And so in my college there was a tea stall owner called Bansi Bhaiya, and he has a tea shop there since 1962. So imagine sitting on that tea stall for 4 years, and then 3 years after passing the college, sitting in the Dholpur house talking about that tea shop owner for 15 minutes. So my interview for 10 minutes was all about the tea shop owner on which I was to write about. And it was, so ma'am asked me, okay, what did you write about? So I said, ma'am, I wrote this thread called Bansi Bhaiya Chronicles, because this was the latest thing I was writing. If you go back to my account, you may not find that it's very latest because I have not been able to write a lot about it, but this was the latest thread I was working on back then. And she said, okay, who is Bansi Bhaiya? So I started explaining her about it. And then she asked me 2-3 questions, and then she left. And then member number 4 again picked it up. Bansi Bhaiya Chronicles, tell me about this, tell me about that. So it was all about that tea shop owner. Then they connected with it with ethnography, that how you people, why do you like to study people? Studying people is a kind of ethnography in itself. And what are the qualities of Bansi Bhaiya you would like to implement in administration? How do these people who live in the subaltern culture in our country, they have certain experiences to share that a lot of us don't. These kind of things you were asking. So it was a very interesting thing for me. How to prepare for personality test? I think once you have read enough for mains, the only difference is that you have to have certain opinions. You read certain, read more newspaper, read 2 newspapers or something, have opinion on things, have reason, talk to people a lot. Just like I am very talkative, talk to people, give mock interviews, etc. You will figure it out once you reach this stage. But yeah, this was in short my story. I think I'm already running overboard, so no one, I hope, ma'am, I'm almost done. I can ask them, if you can ask them to, I can ask them, right? So nothing is going to happen. I wish you all the very best for your attempt. It's going to be one hell of a journey with a lot of it's like a roller coaster ride. It's again like a snakes and ladder for me. Highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. They'll keep coming. Just be very sure, stick to a schedule, be very disciplined. That's all you need. Take care of your mental health a lot. I have myself, went through a phase where I was not doing so well in mental health myself. So I take this as an opportunity to tell everyone that even if you are someone who is dealing with anxiety, or if you are someone who has issues with anxiety, a lot of us have, because in this preparation we get secluded from the friends, people. You spend a lot of time with yourself, you don't feel so much better. There is no validation. We look for validation outside. There is no validation until you get the name in the list. So in that kind of environment, it's very tough to take care of your mental health. And I have myself been taking medication at one point of time during my preparation also. So I don't think it's something to be very shy about. It's like it's a medical condition, and if anyone has ever been through it, just be sure that it doesn't stop you from getting what you want to get. Okay, you will get through the ocean either with almost everyone gets through the ocean with a broken boat that you have started right now. In one year you're going to sail throughout the ocean. It will always be a broken boat, but believe me, you'll get through it. And then you'll get a new boat which will be so much better than this one. So please take care of your mental health. No exam is more big than your well-being. Keep that in mind. But that doesn't mean that if my well-being and sitting in the movie theater for 2 days you could do that. Keep the discipline alive, keep the consistency going. Just be very honest to yourself. Honesty and integrity to self is, I think, one sole emotion that gets you through this journey. If I've told myself that I've completed this much amount of syllabus today, complete it today. If you're not able to complete it today, accept this, that I could not complete it today. Don't give yourself reasons to not do it. Give yourself reasons to do it. If not, accept that you could not do it. So this honesty, honesty to self is something that is going to sail you through this process. And just take care of your mental health. That is something I wanted to say. I missed it, so I just added the point. Thanks a lot for being so patient with me. I don't know if I could have sat through the session if someone was speaking to me continuously for 1.5 hours, but you did. I'm extremely grateful to you. And if you need anything, you connect with me on Telegram. I am uploading my notes, my strategy, though slowly because I'm traveling a lot, but then now I'll get some time before going to the academy. I'll upload everything. So thanks a lot and all the very best. Okay, and keep moving. Thanks a lot. Thank you. I'm done. You guys can leave.